All right. Thank you guys for joining the Realty One Stop Mastermind group. Tonight, we're going to be talking about our quarter three goals. So we're going to be reviewing the 2023 goals up to this point, and we're going to be talking about our goals for the remainder of quarter three, quarter four, and 2024. And so we do have some new faces tonight, and hopefully a couple more that will be joining us here shortly. So what I'm going to do for the new members of the group, I'm going to link our typical introduction questions that we do, and I'll have you guys start first. So I'll put this here in the chat. And so we're going to spend just a little bit of time letting the new people share. Obviously, the people that are here every other week when we do these calls, we have a pretty good handle on most of their goals. So if you can look at the chat, I just shared those. And we are going to go more into a deep dive. So we'll try to do like kind of like a quick round for the new members here. And it's going to be that first section of questions. And then again, the purpose of this call, which we have different topics every 2 weeks, we'll do like, specific topics of investing strategies. We'll interview other investors and experts on specific topics, and we present them to the group and do Q&A. But tonight, again, the focus is working on our goals. So Ian, if you want to start us off with those questions there, if you can see those.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Good to see many of you that I've met recently at Joe's. I knew you had a mastermind, Joe, but didn't know if it was just a local thing. So happy to be joining you guys. So yeah, for those of you that haven't met me, my name's Ian. I'm based out of San Jose, California. I do go back and forth to Cincinnati. I used to go even before I ever invested here. Have been investing since 2021. That's kind of when I was really diving into this stuff, both in California and over in Cincinnati as well. Obviously in California, you only have so much capital to work with. It's a higher cost to entry. There are a few things we wanted to take care of. And then, ever since then have been focused on the Cincinnati market. Units, 22 doors, spread across here in the Bay Area, and LP in a deal as well. I don't really count that as well. Types of properties. I mean, I'm sitting right now in an Airbnb that I'm kind of a minority partner in, that I helped find and underwrite and stuff like that. But I sit more passively when it comes to the management of the property. But mainly I focus on multifamily. So the bigger project right now is two fourplexes that we're rehabbing, mainly one. We're rewiring it, so that's one of them. And then Joe also helped me to get a 6-unit over in Norwood as well. So I've been investing over in Norwood. And I guess that leads to the short-term investment goals. So short-term, I have been looking into larger multifamily, but at the same time, I've also realized going through these properties that there's a huge learning curve. It doesn't matter how many books you read, it kind of humbles you being in this space. There's tons of things that happen. It's like, not going to take up the entire intro time talking about the stuff that we deal with, but there's a huge learning curve. So we're still stabilizing properties. So right now I'm looking at a larger property. There's an LOI out, and at least on this one, we thought about taking it with a group of other investors from out of state. But, as I think thinking that you can do all this stuff is a little bit of ego. So we're kind of less, we're partnered with somebody local who has a lot of doors in the area. So, trying to just get some experience right now. In the larger space. So that is something that we're looking at, some of the larger deals, while being very active in stabilizing the 4-unit that we have to finish up the rewire on. So I think,
what was that, in the Cincinnati market or somewhere else? The bigger property?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah. So That's something that we're looking at right now. And then long-term investment goals, I think, where I think for a while it was kind of it's fun to acquire, but I think we just want to stabilize and get more and more experience. And I think, as you guys know, I do like getting to know you guys, getting to know the local community, getting to know other investors, bringing in our fractional group. I can talk more about that probably at a later time, but um, seeing where things go. To be honest with you, I think when I started, it was boom, 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 like hard goal, buy the first one this quarter, do this or do that, but. I'm not really sure what's around the corner. I think I need to focus on stepping back and stabilizing like what I have and really setting up my systems too. I think I've done too much in too unorganized of a manner to start that I've realized that, I've got a lot to work on. I've had a VA for a while, but it's one of those things where your VA is not even being managed properly because I become a bottleneck. So that's just an example, right? But there's so many things like that that are going on, and it's right now just taking a step back and redefine those longer term investment goals. I think as of right now, I think Joe, you saw the investment group that I brought over to Cincinnati. So for those of you that haven't met me, I actually just hosted a field trip of investors over to Cincinnati. So when Joe talks about the new members who are joining this call, it's not everyone hopped on this call, but we had 12 or maybe even more, I think 13 or 14 investors join. I showed them around, and we had lots of members, lots of familiar faces that you would know, be gracious enough with their time to show DJ's mixed use property, to show Joe's 28 units over in Clifton, Ton's strip mall over in Fairfield, and Jaideep Balakar's 17 unit over in Silverton. So a lot of tours, a lot of good networking, a lot of good things coming around. But separately, I host an investment community over with a startup. Again, I don't want my intro to take too much time, but kind of have been a person, networking with it's 100-member community that is interested in investing in Cincinnati, and there's actually 25 on the wait list that I have to figure out how to get my time. Again, I'm a bottleneck, but figure out how to get my time to actually get to know these people and vet these people as well to see if they're good people as well. So I've been building a little something and kind of talking to people about investing in this area.
Awesome. And thank you so much for you guys joining us and getting to meet all you guys when you came to town last week. I had a good time, and it was nice to get to meet so many different investors. So one thing that, if you want to kind of think about it as we go through the group here, the specific things we're talking about tonight are any goals for the rest of the year, and then kind of your preliminary goals for 2024, if you want to just kind of think on those, and then we'll go through at the end and kind of rehash those. Okay, Zach, I know you are first time on the call, so answer any of those questions you can in the chat there, and then we'll keep moving.
Okay, cool. Hello guys, thanks for having me. My name is Zach Wilson. I'm located in the Cincinnati area. So me and my brother, we started a remodeling business about 10 months ago, and we're just kind of looking to kind of invest in some, duplexes, triplexes, or fourplexes, something like that. We're just kind of really trying to see like what the best thing for us would be to get in and invest some of our money. Yeah, we're just trying to learn new stuff and just try to get in the game, I guess. Currently we don't have any properties, but hopefully we're looking, hopefully get something towards the beginning of next year. Yeah, just trying to get into it, I guess.
Awesome. And Zach, how long have you guys been, thinking about investing in real estate and educating yourselves? Like what has that process been like so far?
Oh, I mean, we just started our business, and then as that kind of took off, and we've been doing pretty good, we're gonna start kind of hopefully hiring some people and kind of helping us out on that side, and then spend our time, learn more about investing and getting into a property, hopefully, and stuff like that. And I've just been listening to podcasts and trying to learn as much as I possibly can.
Gotcha. So yeah, you're like in the very first kind of baby steps, so to speak, of
Yep.
going down this road. And awesome, man. Well, there's a wide variety of range of experiences in this group. So I think you guys will learn a lot if you're able to, keep jumping on the calls here. So the one thing, and I'll ask you this question so you can think about it. I know a lot of people didn't have time to prep for this, so I'll throw this out to everybody, but I'll give it to you first, and we'll come back to you at the end. So I want you to think about why you guys want to invest in real estate specifically, and what are your goals, whether that be personal or financial. Like, what are the motivations for you to invest in real estate? Because we'll talk more about this, but I think that's probably one of the most fundamental questions that you have to keep asking and answering for yourself as you go through an investing journey. So think about that, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, Olivia.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Olivia Tran, and I am located in San Francisco, California. In terms of markets that I'm investing in, so I have 4 properties across Dallas market and also in California. Also just started investing with a fractional group that Ian mentioned earlier. So I just invested in 1 property in Philadelphia. But that's a little bit hands off, so I don't really know much about it. I gotta look into all the partnership paperwork and stuff like that. So for short-term investment goals, I honestly didn't think big picture before because I was mostly just investing on my own. So when I started back in October 2021, I wanted to buy 1 property per year, and I already reached that goal. So now that I'm here, I need a new goal. And so my long-term goal, though, will be financial freedom. And the reason why I'm here and started reaching out to more real estate communities because I want to scale faster. I want to learn more from other experienced investors because I feel like I've been investing on my own for the past almost 3 years, and I feel like I could have gone faster. Looking at other investors, I feel like there's a lot to learn, and there's so many different markets and opportunities that I can tap in. So I think that's will be what I want to get out of this group as well. And I really enjoyed meeting with a lot of other investors in your meetup the other day. Also, the Cincy field trip was amazing. Definitely I have my inspiration and my eye just get wide open for all the possibilities that I could achieve in the years to come. So that will be a little bit about me.
Okay. And same question that I asked Zach. So think about why you want to invest in real estate. I know you mentioned financial freedom. So think about what that specifically means to you. So one thing in this group that may be a little different than some of the others is, we are very open. We talk about our finances, we talk about our numbers. Obviously you don't have to get super, super personal, but that is part of this group is we share that, and we try to help each other stay accountable to ourselves and each other. So again, feel free to share what you would like when we come back, but think about that. And obviously we'll go around after the introductions here.
Okay.
All right. Bulb, am I saying that right? I'm probably mispronouncing your name. I've never tried to say it.
Yeah, you were right. It's Bulbul. But
Okay,
hey guys, I think I met all of you at some point or another. So I live in Cincinnati. I'm currently based in Clifton, so I moved to Cincinnati in Feb. Bought a single family house that I'm house hacking right now, and currently essentially living for free. But the reason I got into real estate by fluke, like never planned on it. So I just happened to read Rich Dad Poor Dad after I graduated, and get into the whole rabbit hole of podcasting, found a community, got in touch with Ian via social media and stuff like that, and then decided to purchase my first property when I moved here in Cincinnati. What I'm looking for, of course, like everybody, I want to scale up, but I want to I'm interested in scaling up along with other people. So interested in how to structure partnership or how to be creative. to like scale as fast as I can. And my goal is to achieve like a monthly cash flow number. So I think, Joe, you mentioned like how you guys share your numbers. I would say my goal is to get to at least like 20 to 30K per month passive income in like 2 or 3 years. So yeah, whatever gets me there, I am not concerned about like the number of doors I get, as long as I'm able to hit like the cash flow number that I want, which will allow me to live like a lifestyle, allow me to like afford a lifestyle that I want without working like a 9 to 5 job. So that's
Right.
that.
Are you working a W-2 job now?
Yes, so I have a background in tech, so I work as a data analyst in downtown Cincinnati for a healthcare company.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And same thing, I know you mentioned that your why, but if there's anything else you want to expand on, and you know, your specific goals for 23 and into 24, like I said, we'll do another round here at the end. Okay, let's see who hasn't shared. Hassman, am I saying that right? Not sure if she is here. Okay, Eric, you there? All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like my brother was just talking a minute ago, we started our company like 10 months ago.
And you're Zach's brother, to be clear, right? Just so
Yes, I'm
everyone's on the
Zach's
same
brother.
page. Okay.
Yep, we have Easy Home Improvements. We started that in November of last year, so we're going on like 10 months now. We've had pretty good success with that, and so far throughout this year, I've just been trying to educate myself really just about different routes to go with real estate, how to make money. But really, I'm just looking to get into my first investment, so here to learn.
Awesome, man. Well, you're in the right place, and we are glad to have you guys. All right, Hasman, hopefully I'm saying that right. If I mispronounce your name, please feel free to correct me, anybody. If you could share.
Yes, hi, good evening. Good to see you again. Yes, I'm Asmin, and I'm sorry, I missed the first part. I what do I say?
Yeah,
My why?
I'll link in the can you see the chat? I'll link the questions again. And
Okay,
yeah.
but okay.
So that's the introduction questions, and then we're gonna do a little more deep
little
dive.
more about me. Okay, and I have a long-term rental investment and a short-term rental, and oh please, I'll just park. I'm sorry, I'm driving,
No,
but
you're fine.
I'll park.
I
Yes.
can ask them to you if that's easier. What market are you investing in?
Yes, I have a long-term rental in Claremont, California, and I have a short-term rental in Coachella. And I would like to know, I've always wanted to invest in out of state. It's more affordable, but I'm very scared not, I don't know anybody. That's why this field trip has been very valuable for me. I feel confident that with connecting with the right people, I'll have the confidence to do it. I'll have the confidence and knowledge to do it. Um, I'm I'm an occupational therapist. I'm working in a nursing home, and I have my W-2 job, and I have my own practice. So I've been working a lot for about 3 years. I'm juggling both my W-2 and my practice. I'm working 7 days a week, 2 jobs, and I know I cannot sustain it. I'm 45. I cannot, and my job is very physical. So I know I cannot sustain it. So I have to find a way to replace the income. So, and I wanted the real estate investing, but I'm just very, very scared to jump in. But with this community, I feel more comfortable. And I felt like I'm too late in the game, but no, seeing how you guys scale in such a short time, and I think if I really put more time and effort to learn more about it, and the age will not be a hindrance to gain the financial freedom through real estate.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. The other two questions were your short-term and long-term goals.
Short-term goal is to cash flow. With my 2 rental properties, I don't cash flow enough for me to work less. So maybe, cash flow 1 to 2,000 a month to begin with, just to be able to work less. And then long-term goal is to be able to replace my income so I can enjoy my time, have my personal time. In my culture, we work really hard and forget to take care of ourselves. So I want to have that time for self-care and just enjoy without feeling guilty.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. And like I said, we will go back around with some of any more specific goals for the rest of the year and next year. And to one of the points you made, I don't know who said this, but I've heard this and I like the saying. It's like the best time to invest was yesterday, and the second best time to invest is today. So, being in your 40s is certainly not too late to do it. I've helped people start investing after they've retired, in their 60s and beyond. So, I mean, you're certainly not, behind the game by any means. So, I'm glad that you have joined us and that you're on your way with your investing. Okay, so because there's so many new people, and we don't normally do this, but just for the sake of today, with all the new members, I'm going to have the, kind of OG members that are here almost every call quickly run through some of those questions just so everyone can get to know you a little bit. So I'll start with Gage, and then after the quick introduction, then I want you to specifically get into where you're at with your 23 goals as of Q3 that we're in now, going into Q4, and any preliminary goals you have for 24. And since we have a bigger group, obviously we'll try to keep those about 5 minutes if we can.
All right. Well, first I gotta say, Christian, I don't know if that's your real background or not, but the way that there's like an artificial light that goes around your head, I know it's not real, but that
Yeah.
is sick, dude.
Just sitting at the right spot.
Yeah, it looks like real sunlight. Like it goes around your head. I've never seen.
No, dude, that's his backyard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Backyard.
That's a nice unit you got there. Secondly, can Alexis hear me, Angelo? What up, Alexis? All right. So my name's Gage. I from Indiana, moved to Cincinnati recently. I own a duplex in Batesville, Indiana, which I have currently rented out, and I moved here to Cincinnati to take the single family that I'm in right now, do work on it and get it ready for rent. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. Man, I forgot the questions. What else?
Years investing, you mentioned your portfolio, and then short and long-term goals.
Okay, so to get into the goals, so in terms of investing, I'd like to I do the BRRRR method. I do like a kind of a house hack BRRRR method is what I've been doing. So I'd like to cash out on this and get into one more property before the end of the year. That's the goal. I recently just had a communication with my bank, and it really seems as though they're tightening up a lot because I didn't get very good news on my application for the cash out refi, which was disappointing to hear. So that's my first run in with that. And I guess it's time to start looking at other areas and seeing, what I can do. But I'm fairly sure that I'll be able to get over this hump on financing. I know just got to go knock on some more doors. So yeah, hoping to get a another one under my belt here in 2023. I am training for a marathon upcoming for a personal goal. I'm training for the Indianapolis Marathon. I'm going to try to Boston qualify for it. It's my first marathon. So just been, putting in the miles every morning, about 7 miles at 5 a.m. And slowly but surely getting towards that goal. Yeah, man, let's go. I run all over the place, all over Cincy. So love to have more people run with.
You run with the Roebling runners?
I haven't. I have on their Thursday night runs couple times, but I haven't done their morning yet.
Okay.
But I've definitely thought about it. Do you run with them?
Yeah, I'm on their Slack channel. I've run with them a few times. They're a bit early, and I come from the West Coast, so I'm usually jet lagged the other way. It's tough, but I try to run when I'm out here with them.
Awesome.
We'll probably, I'm not a BQ. My PR on a marathon's a 3:42, and I've gotten slower. So you'd have to wait up for me, but would love to run with time.
Easy runs are good days, man. Those are my favorite
By,
days.
by the way, Joe, yeah, take it easy with me. Zone 2 training for you. Joe, today I ran Milford Trail.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
How long is that? The bike trail?
yeah, I just ran 5K out and back.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's a nice trail.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Other than that, long-term goals. I'm a lot like a lot of you. I'd want to be financially free. I'm trying to lay that infrastructure down before I really get my family started. I'd like to, have some good cash flow monthly. And really it all comes down to having time and options. Those are the two most important things for me. So I want to be able to go to all of my kids' games, miss nothing because I have control of my time, and I want to be able to take them places, send them to the best schools, and really just have the option to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so that's really what drives me. And I just love the grind. I love all of this, and it's really fun, and it's really, quite honestly, addicting. And I love these groups of people that I'm here with. These groups are awesome and definitely have helped not only motivate me, but give me the ammunition to continue going forward and feeling more confident in pretty much every aspect. So, yeah, nice to meet you all that I haven't met yet.
Awesome, thank you. Angela?
Hey guys, I'm Angelo Solari. I'm located in Cincinnati. I am also investing in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. I have a duplex, which I'm currently house hacking, and a single family by the airport. I've been investing in stocks for about 8 years, and recently um, learned about the power of leverage, right, in real estate. So officially became a real estate investor back in February. I guess we closed on the property in April, actually. And then as far as what I'm looking for, really anything that makes sense, anything that cash flows, right? Ideally, small multifamily, 2 to 4 units, but I'm also open to single family, and I'm also open to anything bigger, right? As far as my short-term investment goals, 1 to 6 months, want to get a couple more units under my belt by the end of this year. And as far as my long-term goals, as far as financial freedom goes, financial freedom or financial independence, level 1, which for me means $3,000 of pure cash flow on a monthly basis after all of my expenses are paid and after I put away roughly 15% for maintenance and vacancies. And as far as what I hope to get out of this group, obviously the networking, the motivation, the accountability, the learning, the sharing, that's definitely been critical and extremely helpful. So yeah, that's I think that covers. Am I giving also an update on my current goals,
Yeah.
Joe?
Yep, go
All
ahead.
right, so very quickly, as far as my goals go, I'm out of so I'm 50% as far as adding units this year. We added 2. I want to add 2 more. As far as my savings, I think you all know I had a goal of saving $3,000 a month from my W-2. I was just doing the math. I'm at 41,000, so I've exceeded that, which is pretty awesome. So I'll keep on doing that the rest of this year. And then the other one was reading. I'm a little behind on my reading, but I just started reading Traction, liking it, pretty good so far. And yeah, I think that's and then the new goal that I've added is really trying to get something off market. And we actually have a meeting with an owner in a couple of weeks from now to look at a property in Silverton, and hopefully we can work something out.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and you know, like I said, guys, I know we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So if you don't have it, you know, next year goals planned out, that's totally fine. If you have anything that you are planning, feel free to share. If not, you know, think about it, and obviously we'll do another goal setting call in a year. So you have 3 months or so to plan those if you don't have them. Okay, cool. Brian.
Hey there, everyone. So yeah, my name is Brian Keegan. Local here in Cincinnati. That's where I invest. Right now, I have 3 properties. I started in 2021 with a single family, 22 got a duplex, and right now I'm currently in the middle of a mixed use building in Norwood, which some of you might be familiar with. So I'm DJ Wishmeyer's partner. So really wish I could have hung out this past weekend, but I don't know how Joe does it, but because I have a 2-month-old, I have 3 kids now, so I just I couldn't hang, but hopefully soon I'll be out there again. But you know, I'm juggling that as well as, you know, I do have a W-2. You know, my day job is supply chain for a biotech company, so being stretched thin with everything going on right now. But no, my passion is definitely real estate. It's been an awesome, you know, couple of years getting involved in investing. So I guess my monthly goal is just, you know, next step on this Norwood project, you know, just trying to survive that and, you know, do the right thing. So I think right now, immediate next step is like getting the drawings approved, right? Getting those permits and continuing on the build there, and also leasing up those commercial spaces. So that's what I'm focused on now. Long term, though, you know, this by the end of this deal, I'm sure my investable capital will be kind of locked up for a couple of years. So for me, next step, you know, I kind of went from single family duplex and skipped the tris and quads and went to this you know, mixed use. But so I think the next goal would be to maybe close a deal with you know, OPM, you know, other people's money, since like I said, I'll be tapped out at that point, and so want to keep the momentum going though. And so my why though is, you know, basically want to retire my wife, because, you know, with 3 kids now, I'm getting up there, and so just want to be able to have to not, you know, childcare is expensive too, but you know, just also, you know, summertime, it kind of sucks, like when all their friends are hanging out at home doing stuff and you're sending your kid full-time daycare, and so it's you know, would like to not have to do that. So yeah, because I don't honestly don't mind my W-2 job, and but really like real estate. So yeah, that's my why. And yeah, just get out of this group. Just mainly networking, right? I mean, that's how I found this last deal. Networking with people and, you know, find this off market, you know, thanks to Joe. And so that's where I like to get out. And then I also have a running goal. And so I made the stupid goal to, like, I don't know if you can see it, make a staircase. So every month I run 2 more miles than the previous month. So I started with 2 months in January. So I should be at 24 months in December. So I'm still on track. So it's 18 months 18 miles this month, and I'm at 12. So 6 more to go. So I hate running. That's why I know it's like probably some of you that's like nothing. You probably run like 12 miles in a day, but for me, I hate it. It's constant pain. You know, I like playing soccer, but ever since COVID, I stopped playing at like pickup games and just never picked it back up. So got to get that cardio. So that's my personal goal there. I think that's it.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing. And yes, thank you from all of us for letting us walk your project last week. I know everyone learned a lot from that. So we appreciate you guys letting us do that. It sounds like we have to start like a subgroup here of just runners and have a second meetup just for that. All right, let's see who's here. Okay, Ben. Ben, you want to give us a rundown on yourself if you're here?
Yeah. Hey guys, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Hey guys, my name's Ben. I'm located in Cincinnati, and I'm only concentrated in Cincinnati, solely focused on this market. real estate agent here, have a property management and construction company as well. I've been investing here for 6 years. I have 7 units. It's in a 4-unit building in Norsa that I house hacked, and then a 3-unit building in Walnut Hills. And then I bought a house in Silverton. Seems like everybody's doing Silverton. And the cool thing about that was when I moved out of my Northside apartment, that basically paid for the mortgage for my house in Silverton. Yeah, short-term goal, I'd love to find a property. I don't know where the hell everybody's finding these properties. I'm having the worst luck on finding them. So if anybody's got any tips for me, I'd love it if you could PM me on that, or message me on that. Long-term goal, you know, trying to get to 20 units. My why is I want to retire my wife. And so at 20 units at $200 a door net, that comes out to $10,000 a month. And if you look at the government recommended retirement amount of $1 million, you live off of that, the 4% rule, $40,000 a year. For me, my wife, and a kiddo, that'd be $120,000 a year, or it comes out to $10,000 a month. So yeah, that's my big why. And then lastly, I'll just say that for all the runners out there, there's a Cincinnati Run Club. There's about 50 or 60 runners in that group. It's a huge group. They go Monday, Wednesday mainly, and then they also do break off and do different like weekend runs. But yeah. Was that all the questions, Joe? Did I forget anything here?
Yeah, I think that's it. And like I said, if you have any specific goals for year end, I know you said you're looking for one more deal, or 2024, you can share those also. If not, we'll talk about those on the next one.
Yeah, sorry. End of the year goal, trying to find another property to invest in. Can't find one. And then 2024 is I want to do a 4-unit building per year, and then want to do get into new builds next year as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, Zach, I'm going to go back to you. And so if hopefully you've had a minute to think about it, what is drawing you to real estate, and what are your motivations and why? And I might pick on you a little bit and ask you some follow-up questions, but just feel free, whatever's off the top of your head.
I just want to get in real estate. Kind of want some passive income. I would also love to, have my girlfriend be a stay-at-home mom. We have a 4-month-old and a 16-month-old. Just like daycare, I'm not sure who said it, but it's quite expensive. So, we would love to homeschool our kids, just because this world's a little crazy right now. So, yeah, I would love to be able to retire her eventually, and that's definitely a big goal for me, for sure.
Okay, so here's what I would challenge you with, and I did this to a lot of the group members here when they first started. I would sit down with your wife and say, okay, what does that look like on paper? Like mathematically, what does that mean? What are our expenses right now? If you don't, if you're not one of those, guys that keeps a budget, which I'm horrible about that too, but it's definitely important, especially when you're first starting and trying to understand this stuff. Work through a budget. What are all your expenses? What is your income? And obviously now you're on your own with your business, which is great. I think that's going to give you a huge lever to help scale your income. And you're going to have way more control over your income than you ever did as an employee. And I'm sure that's probably part of why you got into it. And then look at specifically, okay, what do I have to bring in every month to accomplish those goals you just mentioned to us? Because once you can define that very specifically, that will allow you to build that path. And I'm hoping you have basically 3 months until we're going to talk about this again. And obviously I hope you do it sooner than that. But when you come back, hopefully for that December call, year-end call, have this stuff specifically in front of you and say, okay, do we need $3,000 a month? Do we need $5,000 a month? What are our current expenses? How frugally can we afford to comfortably live now? Can we, let's say, I'm just making numbers up, but let's say they're $5,000 a month in expenses. Well, can we live off $2,000 a month? Is that realistic? Those are the questions you have to ask, because that's going to help you build those steps towards that. Because when it comes time for you and your brothers to start investing in real estate, when you know what the answers are to those questions, then you're going to be able to build the path specifically to achieve it. Because if not, you're kind of just guessing, right?
Right.
So yeah, that would be my challenge to you and Eric, is to, get together, obviously get with your wife specifically for your personal finances, but then, you and your brother are like, okay, how do we achieve what we're trying to achieve based on now what we know?
Right.
So yeah, that's an important kind of first step in this process.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add?
No, not right now. No.
Cool. All right, Ian.
All right. Remind me of the question again.
So the follow-up to your introduction would be any specific goals you have for the remainder of the year, and then if you have any preliminary goals for next year, feel free to get as detailed as you want to on those.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I can tackle that. So first of all, glad to meet the folks I haven't met here. I feel like as you guys were talking, I wanted to chime in. I feel like I could have a side conversation with all of you guys. You guys have awesome backgrounds. Runners. I didn't know, Brian, you're partnered with DJ. That's awesome. It was so awesome checking out that property. As far as our goals, for 2023, kind of reflecting on what I've had, I think people who know me know that I'm a very big goal setter. Even as it comes to running, this is a year that is not a fitness year. My only goal here was to run every single day, which I've done. I did that in 2021. I'm slow as hell now compared to what I used to be. I've actually gained weight, slow time, all that kind of stuff. But I think part of the approach is to be process oriented over goal oriented, because if I was strictly goal oriented, I'd be rushing myself into some deals that are bad because a lot of things aren't penciling. I could have had the chance to be a co-GP on a deal earlier this year, but things have to be really, really right. But instead, I'm really focused on processes. And I guess you could say that those processes really are goals, because I am doing things. I mean, is running every day is that a process, or is it a goal? I mean, like, if my goal was a PR, I sure as shit didn't do that, right? That didn't happen. But doing things every single day is part of my what I'm focused on. I want to put myself in position to be able to do bigger deals, but I still need to have. I don't want to be clouded. I don't want to be into FOMO or anything like that. So some things that I've done today are networking, bringing people to Cincinnati. I spoke at a conference, which is huge in terms of character development, because I am very introverted. I never thought I would speak in front of a crowd. I sat in front of that crowd thinking, like, aren't I supposed to be afraid of public speaking? I refused to watch the film. But I guess I did okay, but hopefully I did okay. But, I know it wasn't super polished, but, I think that things like that have come about to put me in position. And then separately, it's just, getting to network and know better people and establish my brand and, build a strong reputation and learn along the way, learn from people like you, and also teach, right? Also share what I've learned with other people, finding ways that I can help people. Just in order for you to understand this, it's also helpful to know a little bit about who I am. Like, I feel like the reasons why I got into real estate are very different than the reasons that are keeping me in it now. What I got into was like this dream of being passive and just sitting on the beach and not doing anything. And the things that I've gotten addicted to now are the grind. And it's to the point where work doesn't feel like work, because every day I'm learning something new. I'm pretty poised when I deal with bullshit, to be honest with you, because it's what I signed up for. So I see something, I see a problem, and I'm like, okay, how are we gonna handle this, right? And just getting that experience and all this character growth that's come with it. So a little bit about me. I started my career in accounting, and that was definitely my personality in my 20s. Didn't want to talk to anybody, just sit behind a spreadsheet and do that kind of stuff. But separately, I've always volunteered my time at a nonprofit boxing gym. I've helped a lot of people, and I do it all for free. I think being within this community, fostering the Cincinnati group, bringing all these people, it's a way for me to help, but also have a financial goal, which has always been a little weird for me to think about, like helping people and making money and feeling like there's a conflict, but really there isn't. So we have this community where we're all helping each other. So I'm kind of rambling, but I think that being into this process, I really don't know what's around the corner or what opportunity will present itself, because honestly, some of these opportunities just seem to have fallen into my lap lately, but they really didn't. It's because I put together these processes. So that's where the 1 to 5 gets really hard, the 1 to 5 year goal. I think some people talked about cash flow goals. I think in the past, and I haven't revisited this, it just came to my mind as you guys were talking, but I did always think, and mind you, I live in the Bay Area where things are really expensive. I thought that my net worth goal was 5 million by 40 to be able to be work optional, right? But my version of work optional is work not feeling like work. That doesn't really mean having all my money sitting in a syndication or truly passive stuff and not doing anything. I think just doing what I like doing is a huge thing, and having, I guess not working the W-2, really reporting to myself, but then having the right systems, which is something that I'm getting super focused on now, but having the right systems to scale and having the right people around me where I can take vacation. But I also am involved because I enjoy being involved. And obviously the day that I get burnt out from that, time to grow in a different way and find another challenge to take on, whether it's, I don't know what that'll be, but was that a good answer? I feel like I kind of went.
So the one question, follow-up question I would have, and you don't, obviously you don't have to answer that today, but hopefully, you guys can all join us again when we do our end of year call. And it would be, so one thing that helped me it sounds some of the same things you were saying, I was saying to myself. And whenever I feel like I don't know what I want to do in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, it helped me to try to just kind of picture what I wanted my life to look like. Like what is the best case scenario where I could be in 5 years? And when I say where I could be, does that mean, what does my life look like? What does my family look like? What do my friends look like? It doesn't have to be a monetary goal necessarily, but just a lifestyle goal, something. And then when you can picture that, and then, that may not just be something you close your eyes and just see. I mean, that takes time to really develop a detailed picture of what that looks like. And then say, okay, now I have an idea. So what do I need to do to get there? And to your point about, goals versus processes, I agree completely. The reason why we use the term goal and the reason why I harp on the term goal in this group is because, in my opinion, you have to have those goals written down. You have to know them and understand them to build the processes to achieve them. So we're kind of talking about like step one in that, system. And when you're talking about building the processes and the habits that will help you achieve those goals, to me, those are like step 2, 3, 4 to get to, the end of the line. And obviously the more complicated and bigger your goals are, there could be hundreds of steps that you have to achieve to accomplish them. But anyway, so that would be my challenge to you, is to think about that specifically. And when you have a clear picture of what that looks like, that will probably help you back into your more specific, short and long-term goals.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just add in, Zach, I'm also highly considering, I mean, I don't have kids yet, but highly considering homeschooling the kids. So that is part of the picture as it relates to time. Actually, I heard a term on a podcast, they call it privately educating. You might have seen that on Instagram, privately educating, because it's not going to just be me, it'll be other parties, but however, to back into that as well, right? And part of that comes with time and resources, some capital to hire tutors and stuff like that, but just something that I remembered. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Bobo?
Yeah, I think for me, my why, right? I don't have like a spouse yet. I'm not married, I don't have kids, but for me, definitely my why is to be a financially independent enough to provide me and my family. So I want to retire my parents, and I don't want them to like work ever, like for money. Like if they want, they can work, but I don't want them to like work until they're old. And B is I want to be able to travel. So I personally love traveling. So I want to have a, a source of income that generates money every month with while me being there or me being absent, so I can work from wherever I want. So being able to travel, being location, having that location freedom, and also having the ability to like fund my travels along with my parents, along with my parents' travels. I really see myself like in 3 years being location independent, going on trips with me and my family, funding that, and just like making sure that like maybe like in the future when I have a family, like money is not something that's ever a worry, I would say. So
Okay,
yeah, that's
okay, perfect. And since you have such a detailed picture of why you're doing this, I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions as kind of an exercise for everybody. So I think you mentioned earlier that you said something like $15,000 or $20,000 in net cash flow is kind of your numeric goal for achieving those things you just described, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are your plans to get there and when and how?
That's a good question. I think my plan to get there, I don't have it all figured out, but when I think of real estate, or when I look at deals, my goal is to make say about 100 or 200K per door for me to even like consider it, because I don't care much about like the number of doors, then I care about the cash flow. So like if it's a single family house and I'm able to cash flow like 500 per month, I would do it. So it can be either real estate or like acquiring business that are associated with real estate that helps me achieve that cash flow number. I don't have it planned out yet, but yeah, I'm trying to get there using all sources of passive income. So real estate can be one, acquiring business can be other, even though I haven't done it. So yeah, like I want to reach the goal. I don't have the whole journey planned yet, I would say.
Okay. So here's what my challenge to you would be. Again, we have probably 3 months until this next call. I want you to try to specifically plan out what that looks like to achieve that. And here's the thing, and we talk about this all the time in this group. Whatever you plan, it doesn't matter because it's not going to happen that way. So it's almost a thought exercise, but it needs to be logical, and you need to be able to defend your position, so to speak, because I'll give a quick story. When I had my first real estate goal ever, I was a cop, and my initial goal ever with real estate was if I could buy 10, I think it was 10 units. Maybe it was 20 units. I think it was 20 units in 10. Yeah, that's what it was. I wanted 20 units in 10 years. Okay. That was my goal. And let's say like 2016. And I thought, okay, if I could somehow get 20 doors in 10 years, that would basically supplement my retirement. I could finish out my 30 years as a cop, but I would have a very comfortable retirement. And my math on that, the way I backed into that number is that, okay, that's $4,000 a month in net income. So I was basically looking for $200 in net profit per door, 4,000 on 20 units, right? And so then I said, okay, how do I get to 20 units? Well, at the time, doing the math, I said, okay, most of these deals are somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a unit. Now, obviously, that was a lot cheaper than they are now in most cases. But I then said, okay, so let's call it 50,000 a door for 20 units. That's $1 million, right? Am I saying, is that math right? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. And I'm trying to remember all this from whatever, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. Anyway, so I was like, okay, well, how do I get $1 million? And then that became the real question. And the way I finalized that initial goal process was, well, I don't really need $1 million. I need $25,000 to buy $100,000 property. And that $100,000 property is going to give me 2 units. And those 2 units are going to give me $400 a month. And then I have to do that 10 more times. So the way I looked at this from a mathematical standpoint, and I got super detailed with it. I'm not saying anyone has to do this, but I said, okay, if I get $400 a month in cash flow, well, to save another $25,000, how much time does that now take off of my savings that I have now from my W-2 job? Well, then when I have 2 and 3 and 4, how much time? So then I started breaking it down. There's like how many months to buy more units. Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm explaining this clearly.
Yeah.
But the point of all this is that literally on the back of like a carbon copy, police form, it was like an old like traffic report or something. I had written out every single step of my plan. And obviously you guys, most of you in here know me now. Of course, that's not what happened. It didn't take me 10 years to buy 20 units. I didn't do it in the way that I thought I would. I didn't buy the types of properties I thought I would. I didn't buy the locations I thought I would. But the point was that gave me a roadmap to build on and to take those steps. And that's all you're trying to do here, because as you start down that path and you start getting more momentum and more success, inevitably your path is going to change. But the point is to have one. I think that's important. And so my goal for everybody in here and everyone who watches this later is to be able to answer every single step of those questions I just said, of those points I just made, because I think it is extremely helpful to make your goals a reality and actually achieve them. And I'll pick on Gage for a second. I think the first time Gage came in here, the first time I ever met him and he joined this group, would you remember what your first goal was? I know it was a huge, huge goal, whatever that was.
Probably something wild.
Yeah.
I don't remember though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was something like 100,000 a month in passive
Might have been
income.
it might have been 300,000 a month.
I think that's what it was.
300.
Yeah, there was something 300.
Mhm.
Okay, I can't remember if that was per year, per month, whatever it was. It was a huge goal, right? And I'm like, all right, who's this kid? I've never met him, never seen him. But I remember asking you. I said, okay, that's great. How are you going to do that? And I think you were kind of like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, see, that's the problem. Because it's not that you can't do that. Obviously, there's a lot of investors out there that make $300,000 a month in passive income. But the point is, it's not about just saying something. It's about, building that path. And Bobo, I didn't mean to hijack your thing there, but you had such a clear picture of why you're doing this, more clear than I think anyone else said tonight. And so I think you need that, and that's great. But I think those are all the things that you want to follow up with in the next 3 months. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Olivia, you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Do you want to follow up with any end of year goals, and if you have any for next year?
I think I need to do some calibration of my goal. Like I said, I think my goal before meeting everybody else was just buying another property this year, which I already did. I actually exceeded my goal for the year. So I'm pretty lucky with my properties. Actually, they've been doing pretty well, like $400, $500 per door.
Awesome.
So my goal was to have enough passive income that is that can replace my W-2 job, because but then if I just do scale in like one property per year, that probably take me 20 years to get there.
Wow.
So which is why I'm hoping that I will find a better way to scale faster. But yeah, this is going to be my homework, and I didn't think that talking about goals like that will be useful, but actually listening to everybody so far has been very inspiring. So very thankful for the call. I would talk about this later on
Good.
in the
Good.
next call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. And I hope that everyone who's here tonight will commit to being here on whatever that last call of the year is. Obviously, it'll probably fall right around the holiday, but we will try to make sure that it is a date that everyone can make it. Eric.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
So any specific goals for the remainder of this year, or specific goals for 24, if you have them planned out yet?
Yeah. So the house I live in now, I got this house like 3 years ago. I'd say for the rest of this year, my main goal is just to kind of finish doing what I want to do around here as far as the remodel goes. And then early 24, I'd like to get out of this house and potentially house hack into like a duplex with me and my girlfriend.
Mhm.
And then potentially get like ideally like a quadplex with my brother at the beginning of the year. That would kind of be the start of where my goals are going. But as of now, just finish what I got to do here at my house to get this thing rented out.
Awesome. And did you hear the stuff that Zach and I were talking about with budgeting and the financial goals and how to achieve this?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
I actually have a spreadsheet all going, so I like that.
It's good.
I'm a spreadsheet.
Perfect. So you're a step ahead of the game then. That's awesome, man. Yep, that'll be very helpful on your journey here. All right, Hasman.
Hi, yes. For 2023, my main goal was to build a swimming pool for my short-term rental, because that's the only feature, because it's in Coachella, it's in the desert, it's a nice property. It checks the box, but I only need the pool. That's why it wasn't cash flowing well. So I'm currently in the process of getting permits. So I'll be achieving that goal for this year. My goal was also to buy another property, but the reason why I stopped moving forward was because of my debt to income ratio. So for now, I'm strategizing it by getting a property and a cash flowing property, but I'm gonna be partnering and using DSCR loan, so it won't be counted on my income. So after this tax season, if I can report my income, then it can, what do you call this? It can increase my DTI. So hopefully I can do another conventional loan in 2024. And I'm actually thinking of doing like a residential assisted living in a single family home. It is an unfair advantage for me because I'm working in a nursing home. I'm the one who's referring them to these board and residential care facilities, the elderly care or assisted living. So I can, if I'll be able to get another single family home, then it has a promising cash flow, and I have an advantage in terms of marketing and getting staff. I think that will help me a lot with the cash flow. So my strategy is, because like what I said, aside from W-2, I have my own practice. So all my sources of income are active income. So my strategy is to slowly replace the active income by passive income so I can enjoy my time. And that's about it. So those are my goals for 2023, 2024, as I meet more people who are smarter than me and more experienced, then maybe I'll be able to learn better strategies on how to leverage my time and my capital so I can achieve that time freedom that I've always wanted.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah. And I also want to add, being exposed to young investors, it's a wake-up call too that my health is deteriorating. So this year I would like to also invest to put another wealth in mind, but not only financial but also in health.
Awesome. Yeah, and so one thing I would add for your DTI issues you were speaking of, it's like there's a lot of other options out there. You don't have to necessarily go through like a traditional conventional financing. So, there's DSCR loans, you'll pay a little bit higher interest rate, but they're going to be based on the performance of the property you're looking at. Or if you were to get into like the assisted living space, you're probably going to go after a commercial loan for that anyway. And so those are still going to be based more on the performance of the property than your specific debt to income ratio. So just things to consider if you do find a deal that makes sense. There may be other options for you that aren't, conventional lending.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I will run through mine here. So at the beginning of the year, I had a goal of $15,000 a month in gross cash flow, and my definition of that, for anyone who doesn't know, is after all of my known expenses. I call them fixed expenses. So out of that could come maintenance or capex potentially, if needed. Now, with my personal investing strategy, almost everything I buy is a full gut renovation. So my maintenance and CapEx historically have been very, very low because for the most part, I have basically new construction on all of my properties once they're done. So anyway, that was my goal at the beginning of the year. I wanted to continue raising all of my rents across the portfolio to market. As you guys saw, the new people, you walked my 28 unit. So the goal was to stabilize that and get those to market rents, which we're still in the process of doing. We're about halfway done on the renovations for that. I wanted to buy 22 more doors or add $4,400 a month in cash flow to my portfolio. And I actually was able to come to terms with the 40 unit property I think I briefly mentioned last week. So we're going to be closing on that next month. We still have to go through all the legal paperwork and things like that. We ended up deciding to do a master lease with option to purchase as the deal instead of a land contract. So obviously at some point I will have a lot more details on that deal, but that is a off-market 40 unit that I'm buying with a different partner. And that will obviously put me over my cash flow and unit goals for the year, aside or on top of the other things that I have already purchased this year. I wanted to maintain 6 months of personal savings, which I have done that. I wanted to time block Monday through Friday. I've been horribly bad about that. I feel like every time we have this call, I start doing it for like a couple weeks and then I fall off the wagon. So again, something I want to make a habit instead of just a goal. Like Ian was talking about earlier, that needs to be something that is just part of my daily process, not something I'm aspiring for. So hopefully by this time we have our end of year call, that will be part of my process and not just something I want to do. I wanted to create 3 short videos a week on social media. I've been woefully short of that. I wanted to create 1 long form video like YouTube. I've been woefully short of that. Posted social media pages 3 times a week. That I've been, relatively consistent on, but still probably not 3 on average. I wanted to do 10 million in real estate sales. I'm not sure exactly what my numbers are, but probably will fall short of that. This year's obviously been very challenging with the way rates are. And then I wanted to do $1 million in total construction projects. I'm actually under contract on 2 million already. And so that definitely will be, blown out of the water for sure. Just because of the market conditions we've had, I've shifted probably 75% of my business time to construction. And so I've been able to really, really scale that business this year. Newborn baby, already did that. Everything's going well with her. Renovated my house. That's 90% done. 30 minutes of playtime with my kids every day, no screen time. That has been inconsistent at best. So I want to definitely get better with that. Reading 1 book per night with the kids, that is consistent. 1 hour of social media or less per day, that is horribly off. I definitely do more than an hour of phone time a day, meaning like non-productive phone time. And then 1 date per month with my spouse, that has been relatively consistent up until we had the baby. So, and then personal goal is I wanted to exercise at least 3 times a week for 30+ minutes. That I was doing really well until I had a really pretty bad ankle injury at basketball about 6 weeks ago. So as soon as that heals up, I will be back on that horse. But that was actually one of the few goals I was doing very, very consistently. So that was all of my business, investing, and personal goals. And so obviously, hopefully that will help everyone who's new to the group have a better insight to, some of the details that you can outline for our next call. But honestly, I thought the investing aspect was going to be really, really challenging. And it hasn't been easy. I don't want it to make it sound like that, but there's definitely been more opportunities than I thought there would be this year so far. So I've been very optimistic about that. Again, we'll probably have a lot more deep dive on the 40 unit I'm buying on another call, but just briefly, overview. And I know Ben kind of mentioned how are people finding these deals? So this was a relationship that I had with this seller on and off for years. So he was actually a retired cop. He was in one of the Cincinnati networking groups. And he bought this building about 8 years ago when I first met him, as I first started doing networking with real estate. And so this was just a very slow, organic relationship that we built over time. He's lent on some of my deals, so he's lent private money to me, which obviously, you know, help build our relationship. And then just recently, in the last 2 months or so, he kind of approached me about buying his building. So he actually wanted someone to buy it. He wants to retire, fully. He's already retired from his job, but he wants to retire from active investing, and he wants to be completely passive. And so the situation with this is he wants to sell this building, but he only wants to sell it in a way where he can cash out his equity and then reinvest that with me into larger deals. So he wants to go from an active investor to a passive investor, but he also is very emotionally tied to this property. And that's something I found very common in a lot of older landlords that have had, property. I've bought properties from landlords that owned them for 30 years. And it is like a child to them, and I know that may sound weird, but if you can picture owning a property for 30 years, especially when you actively manage, this is very much like a child to him. And part of our conversations initially with buying it is I literally had to, it kind of reminded me of being a cop again. I was kind of playing the role of like a therapist, right? I was like, are you willing to emotionally let go of this? Are you willing to emotionally let go of control of this property? And that was like, it took him a minute. Like that wasn't like, oh yes, like that, like it took him a couple minutes of thinking to answer that question, because I knew just from the way, it was, if you've ever walked a property with like an off-market direct to seller, they will tell you every single thing about every single tenant. These tenants are like their friends. They spend more time with these tenants than they do with their families in some cases. It's like they know this guy's daughter's cousin's niece was sick last weekend in the hospital, and he's asking her how she's doing. Like, so I want you guys to understand, like, these some of these sellers are super wrapped up in these properties, right? And that is something you have to overcome. I think the biggest challenge with him selling this property, even though he approached me, the biggest challenge was being able to actually sign the papers and walk away. And even though he's technically owning the property probably for another, let's call it 24 months or something, just giving up control, right? The way a master lease option works is I'm paying him a set price every month, and then I take 100% control of the property. I'm paying the insurance, I'm paying the taxes, I'm collecting the rent, just like you would as a normal owner. I just don't take title, okay? And I'm paying him rent, so to speak. So anyway, all that's to say that these are some of the things that you will deal with, especially when you get direct to seller and you find these off-market deals. And it was strictly through an organic relationship, just from networking and building relationships. I had never once in a million years thought, when I met this guy 8 years ago, would I be buying his building from him? No. I didn't even think 2 months ago I'd be buying his building from him. I didn't even know he ever wanted to sell it, and it's not like it was the type of deal that I would typically go after. But it's a good deal. It makes a lot of sense. It's a very win-win situation. And he knows by bringing it to me and my partner that we are going to take care of it as he would, if not better, And so that was a big deal to him, is to make sure that he has somebody take this property over that cares and is going to treat the tenants well. It's going to, not be a slumlord, all those things, right? So anyway. Yep, like Gage just said, perfect example. And I know Ben mentioned that. And so that's why I wanted to really spell out all those details on that piece. It's just because I wasn't sending mail. I wasn't going around, hey, will you sell me your building? Will you sell me your building? It wasn't any of that. It was just being a decent person, building an organic relationship with somebody. And obviously, it's not that simple, right? Because he knew not everybody would have the systems in place to take over a property like that. Lockland is not, Lockland's where the building is, that's like a C- type of neighborhood. It's a challenging D+ maybe even, it's kind of right on that bubble of like D+, C-. It's a challenging neighborhood. This building in particular has its own challenges. So this is not like, anybody could walk off the street and just successfully operate a building like that. But to all of the points that everyone in this group made tonight, these are the things that you're building towards. These are the experiences that you're gaining with each deal you do, each challenge you overcome. You're going to have those skills and those resources to scale into, bigger deals that are more challenging. So hopefully that made the point I was hoping to make. Any other questions, follow-ups, anything anyone else wants to mention? So on that particular deal, I'm actually putting no money into it. This is basically 100% seller financed. So the goal for that deal is that in approximately, let's call it 24 months, we are going to effectively refinance the property. I mean, technically it'll actually be an arm's length sale, but it will basically be theoretically a refinance to pay off the master lease with the option, and then recapitalize the property by paying out the seller. And the goal would be to raise basically the equity in the property 20-30%, which would then allow us to buy the property without any down payment. And that's kind of the value add on this deal. And it's more of a management / efficiency value add, not really like a traditional heavy rehab value add. The problem with this particular property is that he's already getting market rents in some what I would consider poor condition property or apartments, because the ceiling in Laughlin is pretty low. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys have seen my properties. I would do what I call like a B class apartment. I'm not going to get any more rent in Laughlin for a B class apartment than I would from a D class apartment. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. So I could probably get a little bit better tenant, but for example, he's doing his turns for like $3,000 a unit, which if anyone knows what that means, that's a really, really, really cheap turn, like really cheap turn. And mine are like on the low end, like 8, and on the high end, like 20, depending on the size and what all we're doing. So I have to find a way to make a good product for much less than I normally do, because I'm not going to get the rent to account for doing a much higher renovation. So it's kind of a weird challenge, right? It's like I have to be really cheap, but still have a clean, reliable product. Because I'm only moving the rents from, here to here instead of from here to here like I normally would, right? So anyway, hopefully that made sense, Ben. But yeah, effectively it'll be an infinite return, but it's also going to be very time consuming, and I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of my team for a long time and hire more people. And so, it'll be more of a sweat equity, so to speak.
On a later call, I would love to hear the nuances of the master lease, but
Sure.
we can save that for later.
Yeah, and obviously we're still, so that is what we're working through. And so we came to terms today on all the details of the terms and what this deal looks like. And again, this deal phase one is contingent on executing phase 2. And without phase 2, he doesn't want to do phase 1. So working through all of those terms is what we did today. So I'm hoping by like two calls from now, we'll have all the actual legal paperwork done, and then we can really, really deep dive into the business plan and that process, because this is actually my first master lease option. I've sold property on lease options. I have a couple lease options that I own, but I've never bought. So anyway, yeah, looking forward to diving into it at some point. Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at a later time, would love to touch on that more, because with these interest rates at this time, you got to be doing stuff like that, or seller finance sub to whatever, things like that. So like Gage said, you plant those seeds and the right thing falls into your lap. But to the people that haven't planted those seeds, it's like, how do we get that, right? How do we come up with the right solution that's a win-win? But obviously, you're paying off somebody, I don't know if he owns it outright or has a low mortgage, but
yeah,
the numbers will work out different.
Super small note, basically.
Yeah. So
yeah, Joe, I may hit you up offline if you don't mind. Specific to my situation, I still gotta meet up with the seller and all that, so I don't know all of the details, but I do believe that I generally understand how to do it off market, as far as putting it under contract and working with the title company, but I may need to pick your brains a little bit, but I don't want to take any more time here.
No, you're good. Yeah, sure, certainly we can set up a time to
Appreciate
talk.
it.
And so the last thing I'll say, just as to the like why we're doing the lease option, is because he wants to 1031 his proceeds into the second deal. And so if we were to execute a land contract, which would be preferable, and I can talk about why, but that would start as 1031 timing. So that's the reason why we can't do that. The disadvantage for me as a buyer is that I can't start my depreciation schedule with a master lease option. It is effectively a lease, like any other lease. I am paying him rent. So I'm actually operating like my LLC that's going to lease this is a business, and my business is collecting the income from the tenants and paying him as the landlord, and then paying all the expenses, right? So it's literally just business income in and out. So you don't get all the tax advantages that you would with normal real estate ownership. Now, once we execute the final sale, so to speak, then we'll have a new cost basis at that new sale price. And obviously we can start our depreciation like we normally would, and the principal pay down and all those other things. The benefit is it's a no money deal. I'm assuming control. I can raise the value in the income, and I can, again, hopefully buy this or refinance this with no money down. That's the goal. So that's the upside for me. The downside is I don't get the tax advantages I normally would, at least in the near term.
So while you're in the lease period, are you putting a lot of money into CapEx though to force appreciation?
Not a lot, but yeah, some. The good news is this will still cash flow day one. And so, the goal is to have as much of that come straight out of operating funds as possible. But yeah, there will probably be, I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000 maybe out of pocket CapEx, which is what, mainly my partner's doing. So again, my role specifically is operations. And he's doing a lot of like back end operations, but I'm doing the more like on-site active operations. And that's my ownership. That's my sweat equity that I'm putting into it, which is similar to all my partnerships. They put up most of the money, I do most of the work, and that's how I've done it in the past.
So I guess this probably isn't too high of a risk given your relationship with a person, but in these situations, is it ever a concern that you're putting 100, maybe even more, 100K into a property and you technically don't own it? There's obviously the option to buy, but things go sour, the economy goes down, you can't finance it, whatever, or the seller weasels some way out of it, and you just dumped a bunch of money into the property that you can't close on 2 years after the lease option period is over. Just curious if that's something with these types of deals, because I haven't looked too seriously into them.
So, I mean, obviously that, could theoretically happen in any deal, whether it's a land contract or a lease option. I guess the reason why I'm not overly concerned with it is we're walking in day one with a pretty big equity position. So we're getting this under market value, because again, to the seller's own, point of view, they would rather someone that they know, like, and trust by this, who they know is going to operate it well, versus get the top dollar for the deal. So that is a big factor for them. Also, they bought this 8 years ago, and they're probably still almost 4xing their equity. So the difference of 10% in equity, let's call it, at the end of the day, isn't a huge difference for them. So anyway, that's much less risk because of the position, even if we put capital into it or win. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly something you would want to be careful for. Now, the good news is we actually have a 5-year option to buy this. All right. See you, Olivia. Thanks for joining us. We have a 5-year option to do this. So we could literally, from 6 months to 60 months, close the sale. So, I mean, we have a really big window, and obviously even if, so, one thing that my partner and I talked about is, like, let's say interest rates stay really elevated, right? 8-9%. Well, why would that happen? Well, that would happen because inflation's still not under control and they have no way to control it. So what's actually better for us? That we have a 4% interest rate, or we hold this for 5 years at a low price and we have 6, 7, 8% inflation for that time? So our worst case scenario is still great. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, or they get inflation under control like they're trying to do, and then rates go back down to 3, 4, 5%. Okay, well now our cash flow is going to go up, you know, $5,000 a month or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like either way you chop it, it should be a win-win situation.
How does the 1031 work for the seller? I mean, can't they only roll the funds in when it actually closes? And that sounds like that's at your discretion, not at his. How does that?
Well, so again, because of the situation in the relationship, they want to roll 1031s into a deal with us. So because of that being a caveat for them, we basically have 6 to 60 months, let's call it, to find that second deal and then close. And then now the reason why it probably won't happen in 6 months is because we need time to execute our business plan on this deal and, you know, hopefully raise that 10 to 20% equity. So then we can, you know, effectively cash him out with no money down and roll his money into the second deal. So that's, you know, that's why we have such an open timeline. But yeah, he has a really small note. He has 24 months on his balloon for the note. And he could either pay it off because it's such a small percentage of the purchase price, or, you know, he could technically refi it if he wanted to, and then he would obviously have to pay off his note whenever we did close the sale.
Sounds like a good deal. Sounds like a win-win too.
Yeah. Again, we'll definitely talk more about it. Any other follow-up questions on any of the goal setting stuff? Any questions about that? Any other general questions? Cool. Well, I appreciate all you guys joining. Thank you for all the new people coming. I hope you guys can join us whenever you can. Again, we meet every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So we will meet again on October 4th. I'm going to have a guest speaker that I'm working on. And I know most of you probably know him, so I'll wait till I get a confirmation and then I'll announce that. But it should be a really good call. He's a high-level multifamily guy, so I'm hoping that there'll be a lot to learn from him joining us. And again, that'll be on the 4th. That's the goal for that one. And if you guys need anything in the meantime, feel free to connect with me. If not, I'll see you guys on the 4th. Have a good night.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep. Thank you.